Hello, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity.
What is up, my watch friends? So check this out. Today we are going to be looking at this beautiful green limited edition Sinn 104. This is the 2019 limited edition, and as y'all know, if you watch some of my other videos, even though I don't think I've done a video just on this yet, I probably should, but I do have the 2020 blue limited edition as well, and we'll look at those a little bit more closely side by side. But this one right here is on loan from a buddy of mine. He was generous enough to let me borrow it because honestly, you just can't find these things. I kind of was on the hunt for one for a little while. I still got a buddy of mine who is on the hunt for one of these, even though I don't think my buddy who owns this one right here is selling. But yeah, this watch is sweet. And so I just want to talk about it. As y'all know, I'm not a review channel. This is not a review video. So if you want to know all the specs and details and review or whatever of this watch, I'm going to recommend that you go watch another video on another channel. It's not what you're going to get here. What you're going to get from me is the experience that I've had with this watch, which I know that some other reviewers tried to do that, but then, I don't know, they get beat up if they don't include every spec and detail, and that's why I don't want to be a review channel, y'all. I'm not doing it. Here's what we do have, though. I'll give you the brief info. It's reference number 104 STSAAG. And we'll put that up on the screen because it's a mouthful. And we're going to talk later about another reference, and I'm going to show them side by side because Sinn has come out with a new one of these. And I think it's a little not cool what they did. And I know Seiko recently did something like it. And so I'm not drama usually, but there's some drama in the watch industry, and I'm going to talk about it. Now with that, there were 500 of these watches made. I think my blue one, I want to say there were 1,000 of these blue ones made. So 500, 1,000, they make different lot sizes. And then of course, you know, I've got my all black one. We'll look at that one a little bit later too. But I think the most stunning thing of this green one, it has to be the dial. They call it shimmering metallic green. And let me see if I can get zoomed in here, and I'm trying to see if I can get it to play off the light. Let me give it a little wipe so that we don't have any dust or anything on it. This watch deserves to be seen clean, but if I try to play it in the light, you can see the very faintest speckle of shimmering in the paint. Now, it's nowhere near as noticeable as my aventurine dials are. And so I'll link to the upper right to my aventurine watches, and you can watch one of those. This green dial does not glitter and shine the way that the aventurine does, but there is definitely something to it. And what's most interesting to me is I didn't know that it had that. I thought it was green in the same way that this blue one is blue, that it might have a sunburst effect, but I really thought that it was just going to be like a flat green, maybe comparable to the Sarbo 17, which y'all know the green Alpacist, one of my all-time favorite watches. Oh, it's in the background. Let me zoom out. Y'all see I've got it sitting here on a two-tone Strapco Jubilee, but this is not like that. The metallic green that they use is definitely, it gives it a little bit of pop, and I dig it. I really dig it. And I think it's cool because if you wanted to have more than one green watch in your collection, you could totally have this green Sinn and the sunburst green Sarbo 17, the green Alpinist back here. Or like my Ventus North Star, right, that I have a green dial in. You could have more than one, and they would be a little different, enough to where you could kind of justify having more than one, especially if you just loved green, if green was your favorite. But what's cool about this is you take it out in the light, you get some sun on it, and it just gives you a nice little sparkle. The green lights up. And the way that they did the white hands and the white indices, it still keeps it super legible. You don't have any problems, and I think it's cool. Now you'll notice that the other ones, like the black one, has the white hands, and so that somewhat helps with the legibility of those. And then you'll notice that like the blue one has the white hands, but they did the faux vintage patina off-white. I don't even know what you call that when it comes to the indices. And so here you can see that they kept it nice and clean. They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful. Here's the trick. You can't go wrong with any Sinn 104. That's what I've learned. I don't know if you can go wrong with any Sinn, period. I have friends that have had the other ones. I've only experienced the 104s. And as y'all know, I own a couple of them. I've really been curious about some of the chronographs. I think that they wear a little bit thick. I think they're kind of like, my Zelos ZX automatic with the Valjoux 7750, and they might wear a little thick. But one of these days I might check out one of the Sinn chronographs. But for now, the 104s, you really can't go wrong. But with that, I wouldn't buy one new, but I would get one. This is one of those. It's kind of like a G-Shock. You just need to have one in your collection, and you just need to experience it because they really are that good. They wear that well. They're that reliable, and they are just aesthetically beautiful. They carry a great name on the brand. German watchmaking at some of its finest. I mean, granted, yeah, it's not a Lange, but it's a fraction of the price of a Lange or some of the other stuff coming out of Glashütte. You can't go wrong. Oh, in fact, wrist check, I'm wearing a Laco today. And I will say, as much as I love this Laco, if I had to pick between my Sinn and my Laco, the Sinn would win. The Sinn would definitely stay in the collection. Thankfully, I've got a big enough collection where I keep them all and just enjoy them. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Now, here's one of the things that I found out recently. I made a phone call to WatchBuys, and if you're not familiar, WatchBuys is the US AD for Sinn watches. They are the only US authorized dealer for Sinn watches. So you can find them on the secondary market and things like that. In fact, I've bought all of my watches on the secondary market, but WatchBuys, they're great people. I've talked to them several times, and I have had great experiences so far with them, so I'd recommend them. But one of the things that I noticed was Sinn came out with a new green dial watch, and it is not a limited edition. The one that I'm showing you on the screen right now is a limited edition of 500 pieces. I was curious because Seiko recently released the Mountain Glacier Alpinist in a limited edition form. They then turned right around and released the exact same watch as a regular production model. They put it on a bracelet instead of giving it a strap. But let's be real, it is the exact same watch that everybody who spent the money and paid a little bit extra to get the limited edition, they thought that they wouldn't have that option to get that watch in any other way.
We haven't limited it. You can buy as many of them as you want. You can buy as many of them as you want.
And so they bought the limited edition. That's kind of what limited editions are supposed to be. You get them, and then they're not making more of them. Now, people like Omega are known for doing limited editions with every single watch that they make, and it almost loses the luster. Like, if everything is a limited edition, then nothing really is. It's that kind of logical, philosophical thought, and I don't know about that, but I will say, like, if the watches are all different, like Zelos, every one that they make is kind of different, and therefore when they say it's limited, it's literally limited. Like, it's actually limited. I have some watches from Zelos that you will never, ever, ever be able to get again or see. It's just what Elshin does. And so I can appreciate that from that aspect. However, with this green one, or more specifically with the Seiko Mountain Glacier Alpinist that we were talking about, they released the exact same watch just as a non-limited edition, just as a regular production run, and at a lesser cost. And I guess they didn't have any qualms about doing that. I don't know who runs their ethics program over there, but yeah, they didn't care. Now, let's talk quickly about the slight difference between what Sinn did compared to what Seiko did. Sinn released this exact watch, except for the fact that they changed it from Arabic numerals to stick indices. It is reference number 104 STSA I, which stands for indices, MG, which stands for metallic green. So we'll put both model numbers up here. The top one is the A, which stands for Arabic numerals, and they just put G on that one. They didn't bother to put the MG, even though it's metallic green. It's the exact same dial. And so when I talked to Watch Buys, I wanted to find out, what are the differences between these two? And you know what he told me? They're exactly the same. They're exactly the same, except for the indices. They're otherwise the same watch. Now, I don't know how I feel about that, because for my buddy here who owns this limited edition, or for me owning this limited edition, and I'll go ahead and do the spoiler now, he said he couldn't tell me over the phone, but I asked him if they were going to be releasing this blue one with stick indices as a non-limited edition. And he answered me. He basically said he couldn't say, but he said it in such a way that I am almost certain we are going to see Sinn release this blue dial, blue bezel watch with stick indices as a non-limited edition. So I'm calling it now. I think you're going to see it. I don't know if anybody else is talking about this. I don't follow a lot of the German watch channels. I kind of want to ask my buddy Bobby Legs. I know he kind of focuses on German watches. So what you're seeing is them, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I like it. I don't think I like what they're doing. I don't think it's cool. It would have been another thing if they came out with another limited edition with the stick indices, but I'm guessing that when people bought this green dial, or when they bought the blue as a limited edition, they kind of thought, yeah, they're not going to offer this dial or this combo again. And in my opinion, I don't think that just changing the Arabics to stick indices is enough. I don't know how I feel about it. Tell me how y'all feel about it in the comment section. What do you think of this? Because I see this as being distasteful, and I see it being distasteful in the same way as Seiko did with their Mountain Glacier Alpinist. And I know that a lot of Seiko people, a lot of Seikopaths, as they call them, or Seikoholics, they were not happy when they did that. And my initial impression with Sinn, I'm not happy that they're doing that. So I did, in my talk with the guy at Watch Buys, he told me that it's interesting because the desire for Arabics versus indices is about an 80-20. About 80% of all the watches they sell, and he said this is of course a rough estimate right off the top of his head, but he said about 80% that either get sold or that inquired about are stick indices. The Arabics are much more rare. So if you like the Arabic numerals, well, then that's cool, and that you would have something a little bit more rare. And sometimes the rarity of an object kind of brings it a little bit more luster and appeal. It just does. When I buy a limited edition, part of my appeal to that is the fact that it's limited. I don't think that's uncommon. But in this case, yeah, my buddy likes the green and he likes the Arabic numerals. So for him, this is a win, and that's really cool that they're doing that. I kind of prefer the stick. I'm in that 80% where I might prefer the stick indices. Y'all know I've got the black one here, and I like the stick indices on this. When they come out with the blue one, I should say if they come out with the blue one, but I'm pretty sure they're going to. So when they come out with the blue one, I might sell my limited edition to get the all blue in with stick indices, and we'll kind of see how that goes. I do worry too, even though I don't love talking about prices of watches, and I do not condone in any way, shape, or form the notion that watches are investments or that they should be. I am a hobbyist and an enthusiast, and the value of the watch is not why I buy it or don't buy it or anything like that. Now, I am value minded, and I set prices that I think watches are worth, and that's kind of the threshold that I give myself as to whether I buy one or not and at what price I buy it. But with all of that said, I'm curious to see what happens to the values of these limited editions once these other ones come out. And I've not looked at it. I think the green with the stick indices is out. So if anybody is in the know or actually tracks the market value of watches, what's happened to this green limited edition now that the other green one has come out, the non-limited edition one with the stick indices? These were fetching a premium. These green ones, the blue ones, they were fetching a premium. And it's because, again, they were limited and they were highly desired. It's the way economics works. But has that gone down now? I don't know. If you know, I'd love to hear it. Tell me down in the comments and I'll talk to you guys more down there. But that's my thoughts on this. So the only other tidbit that I kind of wanted to share, which I thought was interesting, and it kind of brings appeal, talking about the limited nature of some of these watches, the guy at Watch Buys was telling me that this green limited edition, it has one other slight difference, that several of them, if not all of them, came with the ETA 2836-2 movement. He was telling me that almost all, if not all, of the Sinn 104s usually come with the Sellita SW220 movement. And that in this case, you know, the one difference, it's a jewel apart. The ETA has 25 joules, the Sellita has 26 joules. He was telling me that the Sellita is better. He said it has, I think, a little bit better shock resistance or something like that. Now, I also don't know if I can trust him or not, because he's a salesman, and so he might just be trying to sell me on that, or maybe that's his standard verbiage because all the other ones have Sellita movements, and you don't want to be like, oh, the ETA is superior when all my other watches have Sellitas. And I think the general notion in the watch hobby is that ETAs are better, but I don't know if that's actually valid or not, if it's founded on legitimate something science, something I don't know. But that was the only thing that I wanted to say. So that, maybe that brings the appeal up for this one. So if you love Arabic numerals, if you like the green, and if you like the rarity of the limited edition, right, which this one is, and if you like the fact that this came with an ETA movement, well, then this might still fetch a premium. And I don't know that that same can be said for the blue one, right? I think the blue one's got the Sellita movement in it, so it doesn't have that. And yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be the same for that. Is the blue one gonna tank in value when the other non-production or regular production model comes out? I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I probably, if I'm gonna sell this one right here, I should probably do it before that happens. So the green one's already been released. I suspect we're gonna see the blue one soon, but I don't know when, and that's not been confirmed, so that's complete hearsay and rumor on my part. But tell me what you think. Tell me what you know down in the comment section. I'm really curious. And just tell me, what do you think of people doing limited editions and then releasing like the exact same watch, but as a non-limited edition form?
You can buy as many of them as you want. As many of them as you want.
I know that the opinions were strong when Seiko did it. I don't know. I haven't heard as many opinions on Sinn doing it, but it's really what they're doing. You change the indices. Is that really enough? Is that really enough? I don't think so. Maybe that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, until we talk again, my friends, please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane.